you got 2 wires going in.
One.
I have one. What about here?
One.
Up here. Okay. So what
If
about,
you had a fault in there.
Two.
how many do I have right there?
Two.
2. How many do I have right here?
Three. No. 7.
Did I miscount somehow?
7.
Oh, yeah, 7. It is 7. Alright. So 2 plus 7 is equal to?
9.
9. I have 9 amps now. So I started with 9. I need to find 9. So I had 3 going up this way on this route that ended up coming back on the blue. I had 3 coming out that way on the red, coming back on the blue. So I have still, now I have 6 on my blue. I still have 3 left. 1, 2, 3. This took an amp, brought it over here, brought it to 7, and I have 2 amps coming back this way. Since this wire wasn't burned up, it's still connected to ground. I have 2 and 7, which make 9. This, when I'm opening up pole boxes, I'm following the amps. Generally, what happens on a situation like this, maybe they're all in a row, and you have 20 lights, and I'm looking for 20 amps. If I get to, let's say I have 40 lights, and I started with 20 amps, and each light is taking approximately an amp. None of them really work, but some of them are allowing current to flow, and some aren't. So in this particular case, these lights may or may not be working. If they're electronic lights, they won't work, but it'll still be using voltage. It's just like the things plugged in the wall. It's using electricity, even though it doesn't have, it's not operational. So it's using electricity. It's less electricity than it started. Probably not going to damage it, but it just won't work. It won't work properly. So if these lights are high pressure sodium, and they're 480 volt circuit, it'll probably work. All of these lights would probably work. They'd just be dim. But if this was electronic lights like LEDs, they might not work at all. They might. Some LEDs will work. Some drivers will work. So in some cases, you're going to find yourself where you have a bunch of lights, and when you get to, let's say you started with 20, and by the time you test this wire, you're at 1, and this is 19. You're following the amps. You're like, well, I had 20 amps on this wire, and I'm looking for the ground, or where it's grounded. I know that it's going to be in the next location, because although none of them work, I'm following the amps. I'm looking for 20 again. So I could do all this work without putting my arc flash PPE on, without exposing myself to voltage, without taking things and cutting things apart. I'm just following the amps. And in some cases, whether the lights work, it's very fast to find, because if it's the HPS fixtures, which I think you guys still have some, if you have 20 light fixtures that don't work and another 20 that do, you know you're just going to go to the one that works or the one that doesn't work, right next to each other. You can say, well, the problem's probably at this one or the next, as opposed to if the circuit breaker is tripping, you say, well, we'll just turn the circuit breaker off, lock it, tag it, and split the circuit up and trying to find a problem. Because in this particular situation, if I disconnect the circuit breaker, so I just have the wires, and I do a continuity test, well, it's going to ground. If I do a continuity test between the two, is it going to go off? If I test continuity, am I going to hear the sound if I do this?
No.
No.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Because it's reading through the fixture. Well, oh wait a second. I'm looking for a ground. What if I test this to ground? Is it going to go off?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so it's the blue wire's the problem. But what if I test this to ground? Is it going to go off?
Won't go off.
It'll go off again.
It will?
Because it has continuity between the two. I have continuity between the two, so if this was grounded, it's going to show up that this one's grounded too. Because it's reading
through the lights.
It's reading through the lights.
Okay.
So it's extremely difficult. If you turn a circuit breaker off, you're gonna have to open up all kinds of stuff, and you're gonna have to be checking the ground, you're gonna be pulling on the wires to see if it comes out, and if it broke apart, you're gonna have to be looking at everything really good. I mean, that's very difficult, but if you disconnect one, follow the amps, you could do this sometimes in a few minutes to, at the most, a few hours, where I've seen people do this method with continuity and pulling on the wires and open up boxes after boxes for days and not find the problem. So, do you guys have questions about this? Does it make sense? Do you think you could apply that, or did I kind of rush through that?